has a lot of excessive refills, especially in a location that they can't have refills because it's not a seating area that the store is located at. It's very apparent that somebody was abusing the system. So let me get into an example where we found an employee actually took advantage of it by using our caramel candies. It's a 50-cent item, and they would ring it up, but they were giving a customer a full drink, but they were pocketing the variance between, let's say, $3.50 and 50 cents. So let me get into June. I'm going to go even longer on this one. So, and I think in iControl now there's actually an additional report that you can use. It's called the low ticket report. And that, for us, we've targeted that any transaction below 99 cents we would monitor. And again, the whole concept is, at a week's time, look and see what's the highest rate, the highest number. Once you understand that store, and again, I'm talking at 400 stores for Caribou, if it's an airport store and they sell a lot of newspapers and refills, I probably remove them from the process, and I'll start looking at other stores that, wait a minute, I know their business, I know their guests, I know what they buy. There's no reason that this store could sell this many, let's say, newspapers. And the funny thing is then we just compare the actual inventory of newspapers and say, well, wait a minute, how can an employee sell 20 newspapers when they only get 10 a day? Makes it kind of simple to show. So let me get into a store, and you'll see a single employee that you'll see a lot of 50 cents. And the unique thing about this is you're not going to see the drink. They didn't delete the drink. They just literally only ring up the 50 cent. And the unique thing, and here's Matthew. You can see Matthew owns almost 50% of the total sold in this store. That's not physically possible. Even if you work 40 hours a week, it's not physically possible you could have that many. What we learned about Matthew is, and we again were able to interview him, is he had some of his regulars, some of his friends that would come in, and instead of charging him full price, he would just charge them 50 cents. And as you can see, I'll sort of check them out, all those transactions for 50 cents. That's literally all you'll see is a caramel, but the reality is that was a drink that walked out the door. The other unique thing that allowed us to really target this is we actually had a camera system in this store, and once we started lining up the camera shots to the actual transactions, we were able to validate it very quickly. So the other one that I'm not going to get into now, but it's the same concept, coupons. Coupons, I mean, as a customer, I love them. It's a great thing. As an employee, to take advantage of somebody, it's the best way to do it. Let's say that we give out a whole bunch of coupons, or they're in the newspaper and all that. If I'm an employee, all I'll do is I'll cut out the coupons, put them in my pocket. Customer comes in, orders a drink, and it's buy one, get one free. I'll ring it all up. Customer gives me the money because they're only buying the one drink. I can pocket the money, put the coupon in the register, and I just now collected $3.50. And we discovered during a promotion, we had a promotion that was called the scratch-off promotion, where if a guest scratches off a card, it might let them be eligible to win a free drink or a free food item. What we did was we filtered it similar to how I just did now, and I found a specific employee, actually 2 employees in one of our airport stores, had an excessive amount of these coupons redeemed. That, again, was not physically possible for them to be in that store that whole time to own that much of that coupon. What we found out is during their breaks, they would grab stacks of these coupons, these scratch-offs, go into the bathroom and scratch them all off. They would keep the winners in their pocket, and then as customers bought things, they would redeem these and then take the cash, the variance. So coupons are a good thing, but you got to have good controls around them. But realize that people will take advantage of them anytime. The last one I really want to talk about, and it's for us, especially right now, we're excited that this just happened, and that's because our overring program, I'm not sure how everybody else is set up, but for us, our overrings are not just voiding a previous transaction and then hoping they re-ring it so it looks legit, but for us, it's also refunds. So anytime a guest comes in with a bag of beans and says, I bought these, I don't like them, I want a refund, if it's below $10, we'll give them a refund, no questions asked. They don't need a receipt or anything. Our employees know that. And I'm a firm believer right now with our overrings that I believe almost, let's say 10 to 50% are theft related right now because people know they can take advantage of it. So we've finally started to develop parameters around them and started actually sending letters out to employees to explain, or to stores actually, to tell us why is your overring so high. We've been working a case that actually just concluded yesterday that I will show you a true example of how somebody abused the program, took advantage of the program, and because of their actions is no longer employed at Caribou Coffee. All right, I need to get to our period. Okay. And the basic premise for us is a server and the manager who does the overring can be the same. So if we have what we call shift supervisor running the register, and then they make a mistake and they have to do the overring, they're allowed to do that. And partly because at times we only have 2 people in there, and mainly we never have 2 shift supervisors on, 2 MODs. So we would, we figured we better start monitoring the people who are the server and the manager and doing their own overrings. In most cases, the person would have a receipt, the original transaction, they would have the overring, they'd match it up. We require there's 2 signatures and a reason why the overring occurred, and then the store manager should investigate that. Unfortunately, that doesn't always happen. We also know that because of our refund policy that you can overring a transaction, have an overring, but not have an original transaction. So I could buy an item in Minneapolis and I could return it in Atlanta, and our systems don't talk to each other. Unfortunately, they're not that smart, so we would never know. So what I want to show you is Shannon. If you look at Shannon, in a month's time, Shannon had 58 overrings for $800, way above and beyond. I mean, that's 50% of the total for that store. So either she's making a lot of errors or she's doing something she shouldn't be doing. And when you open up the transactions, what you're going to see is the server and the manager. When I sort it by server, when you start looking at Shannon, most of her transactions, all but, let's say, 10, she was the server and the manager. The conclusion, we interviewed her. She admitted to doing it. She did it because she needed the money. And I want to say I think the total she admitted to was over $700 in roughly a month's time. So we were very fortunate and very excited, actually, to have our first true situation where we believe, well, where we had an opportunity for somebody to admit it. We've had several cases, but unfortunately they've left our business before we had an opportunity to discuss what they were doing. So let me get to a few other reports. The cash over in shorts. Remember earlier I talked about our cash shortage wasn't very high. Actually, when I started, I want to say on average every store was short, let's say $30 a month per store. We're talking $1 a day, not a big deal. I really questioned that was true. How can that be? And then when I started peeling back the onion, I started asking, well, wait a minute, do we have overages? What happens if an employee counts their money and it turns out there's more money in the till than what the register says? Well, for us, unfortunately, before I started, I discovered that our employees had access to the expected amount. So if I'm done with my shift, I go in the back, I count down the drawer, I pull up the screen and says, according to my sales intake, I should have $500 cash in the drawer. After I remove my starting fund, I count, I have $600. Ooh, I have an overage. Well, the reason you had the overages was all the manipulation you did. What we found is that $100 never showed up as an overage. They were always even. They were always right on, dead on, zero variance. But that $100 was going in the pocket. So we went to a blind cash out concept that we said from now on, employees, you no longer get access to what your cash shortages are. We expect you to know just to do the